Have you ever wondered if there's a type of intelligence no one teaches you? It's not in school books. It's not in the classroom. Yet somehow people can sense it, and they fear it. It doesn't crave attention. It doesn't want applause. It works quietly in the shadows, calm, hidden, and precise. Do you know someone like this? Someone who never raises their voice, yet controls the entire space? Or that woman who simply smiles, but is moving the unseen pieces like a master strategist? They don't talk much, but when they do, every ear turns. Not because they speak loudly, but because every word hits deep, like a sharp tool. This is called dark intelligence, and once you understand what it is, your whole view of life will change forever. This kind of mind doesn't react. It watches. It doesn't beg. It takes a position. It doesn't fight. It ends things quietly. Machiavelli, one of history's sharpest minds, admired intelligence not for being bright, but for being dangerous, for its power to dominate without ever being noticed. If you've always felt different, not more emotional, but more aware, this message is for you. Because once you understand this, you will never be average again. They won't tell you about it, not in school, not in books, not in polite conversations. Because if people truly knew how dark intelligence works, they'd fear you before you even lifted a finger. This journey doesn't begin with learning. It begins with watching. In the beginning, you are quiet. You speak less. You observe more. You listen long enough to hear the cracks in someone's story. You smile at jokes that aren't funny, not because you're amused, but because you're studying the speaker. You're watching someone who's begging for approval. You're not cold yet, but you're becoming colder. The world around you runs on a strange madness. People fight over things that don't matter. They protect lies just to protect their fragile egos. They shout when they're scared. They act strong when they're falling apart inside. And you observe. You start to see patterns behind the noise. Everything starts with a simple truth. People become predictable when they feel safe. And that's when you quietly enter their space. You ask questions, not to get answers, but to let them reveal themselves. You offer silence, and let their discomfort do the rest. You don't show your emotions. You let them speak for you. You never act fast, but you gather details. Every little move, every word, every contradiction. This is dark intelligence. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't want credit. It grows best in places where people are too relaxed to guard themselves. And soon, your mind begins to change. You stop seeing people for who they claim to be. You start seeing something else. Usefulness, weakness, power, threat. You spot the liar before he opens his mouth. You see insecurity before it wears a fake mask. You sense betrayal before the act begins. You become 5 seconds faster, 5 steps ahead. Because your mind is no longer emotional. It is tactical. This is the turning point, not when you get smarter, but when you stop being naive. You realize truth isn't as powerful as belief. You understand that trust is a tool, that most people lie to you and to themselves. And if you can control their illusions, you can control them. This is dark intelligence. It's not about IQ. It's not about charm. It's not about hard work. It's about control through perception. You begin using words like weapons, carefully chosen, never wasted. You deliver truth like poison, slow, silent, and irreversible. You stop defending yourself. You stop explaining your choices. You stop reacting to disrespect. Because now, you know how to make people regret, without ever confronting them. You're no longer playing by their rules. You're designing your own game, and you never reveal your full thoughts. You don't tell them your plans. You don't let them know when they've hurt you. Because in your world, pain is data. You're becoming someone else. Not cruel, not cold, just strategic. This is the moment Machiavelli respected most, the silent transformation. When a person stops fitting into a broken world and begins to reshape it. And the best part? No one knows you've changed until it's already too late. They think you're still quiet, still harmless, still simple. They don't know. They're already caught in your web because you've been planning this for months, maybe years. And now you don't chase power. You are the power. This is how dark intelligence is born. Not in one brilliant moment, but through silent hours of watching, learning, and building a mind so dangerous it never has to announce itself. Welcome to your new self, The version that doesn't chase anything, because everything now comes to you, and no one will ever see it coming. You've crossed the line. You stopped trying to be liked. You started listening more than speaking. And now, you're not just smart, you are becoming dangerous. You hear people's tone change when they want something. You notice what they don't say. You feel the tension in the air when someone's hiding something. You don't need a confession. You already know. That's what makes you unsettling. People feel watched around you, and it scares them, because deep inside they know. You can sense their weakness. Machiavelli once said, "The promise made was a necessity of the past. The broken word is a necessity of the present." Do you get what that means? You expect betrayal, so you see it coming before it even begins. When you enter a room, you don't need to speak to be noticed. Your presence alone is deliberate. Your silence speaks louder than most people's shouting. Why? Because you're not trying to be interesting. You're trying to be unpredictable. The dangerously intelligent know the strength of mystery. You reveal just enough to raise questions, but never enough to be figured out. People fear what they don't understand, and you offer them just enough confusion to keep them guessing. You've learned that power doesn't come from always being present. It comes from being missed when you're not there. You become rare, and rarity is power. Most people talk just to fill the silence, but you speak to plant ideas. Every word is a movement. Every sentence carries meaning. You use silence like a weapon. Your pauses are intentional. You don't convince people, you persuade them. You talk with precision, to distract, to unsettle, to influence. You know exactly when to compliment, when to remain silent. And sometimes, silence speaks louder than any argument. That's what makes you dangerous. Because when you speak, the entire conversation shifts, not by force, but by quiet persuasion. And then comes the final trait, the one that destroys most people, but builds the dangerously intelligent. You no longer need anyone. You don't need praise. You don't need to be recognized. You don't even need to be understood. Because now, you validate yourself. When someone has nothing left to prove, they become untouchable. Others try to control people through guilt, shame, or obligation. But none of that works on you. Because you've buried the old version of yourself, the one who begged for clarity, loyalty, or affection. Now you move like a ghost. You show up when it matters. You disappear when your absence is more powerful than your presence. And this makes you stronger than any title or weapon, because the one who needs nothing cannot be controlled by anything. These 5 traits don't make you normal. They make you rare, a force in a world full of noise. And people don't know why you unsettle them, but you do. That's dark intelligence. And this is just the beginning. But here's the thing, dark intelligence means nothing if you don't use it. Power without action? That's just a secret. So how do you go from observing to acting? You've built the mindset, you've sharpened the blade. Now, it's time to use it. I'll show you how to apply dark intelligence in plain sight every single day without ever being detected. First, control conversations without dominating them. Most people speak to win. You speak to guide, let them talk, let them reveal too much, let them expose themselves. Your goal isn't to impress, it's to gather information. Ask questions that sound innocent, but go deep into their thinking. Why do you think that? How did that make you feel? What happened next? These questions lower people's guards. They feel heard, they open up, but you're not just listening. You're mapping their mind. You're identifying where they're weak, where they're strong, and how to move them. You speak just enough to shape their thinking, but never enough to expose your own. You're not in the conversation. You're controlling it from within. Second, use silence as pressure. Most people can't handle silence. People rush to fill silence. They explain themselves, they justify, they apologize, but you embrace silence. Someone tries to manipulate you? Say nothing. Let them drown in their own guilt. They expect resistance, but you offer stillness, and that stillness feels powerful. Why? Pause before you speak. Look at people just a moment longer. Let them feel what it's like to be truly seen. That discomfort? That's control. You didn't yell, you didn't even argue, but they felt your presence loudly. Third, mirror their emotions, then redirect them. If someone's angry, match their intensity. If they feel insecure, act unsure. If they're proud, show humility. Then twist the mirror. Redirect their emotions. Anger, aim it toward a third party. Insecurity, give a subtle compliment that ties them to your goal. Pride, use flattery to place them where you want. This is manipulation without force. You don't push people, you guide them. And the beauty is, they believe it was their idea. Fourth, reveal your intentions after you win. Never explain your strategy in the beginning. Let them misread you. Let them underestimate you. Then, when the result goes in your favor, quietly show the truth. Let it be cold. Let it be clear. And in that moment, they'll realize they helped design their own downfall. And nothing haunts more than that. That's power. That's dark intelligence in motion. Fifth, never use power emotionally. This is where most people fail. They get emotional. They punish others just to feel powerful. They attack to prove something. But you act with intent. If you remove someone, do it cleanly. No yelling, no drama, no emotional leftovers, just a quiet exit, a door that closes and never reopens. If someone crosses you, don't react in the moment. Wait. Strike when it benefits you, not your ego. Dark intelligence isn't about revenge, it's about calculated correction. Let your responses feel like fate, not like bitterness. And above all, hide your depth. Never show all your mind. People respect intelligence, but they fear what they can't understand. So show them 60%. Enough to look wise, never enough to reveal your moves. If they think they understand you, they feel safe. And when people feel safe, they stop paying attention. That's when you act. The smartest move? Let them believe they're smarter than you. Let them walk into the trap they unknowingly helped you build. You don't need a throne to rule. You don't need a title to win. Dark intelligence is silent dominance. The ability to move people, shape outcomes, and control the room, without being seen as the one pulling the strings. This is what Machiavelli meant when he praised the fox over the lion. Anyone can roar. But the fox wins by knowing where to step and when to strike, quietly. By now, your mind is not just sharp, it's weaponized, and they won't even realize until it's too late. But here's something most never see. The most dangerous battlefield isn't war or politics, it's relationships. Wondering how this applies to everyday life? Keep watching. Because this is where most people give up their power. They trade logic for emotion. They explain, beg, and surrender in the name of love, loyalty, or guilt. But when you operate with dark intelligence, relationships stop being emotional traps. They become structures of power, each one a battlefield, where influence is gained or lost. You begin to see the world differently. Every conversation is a negotiation. Every compliment, possibly a bribe. Every silence, a signal. Most people reveal their true motives early. They want to be liked. They want to be understood. So they start sharing their past, their pain, their secrets, all hoping for acceptance. You stay quiet. Not because you're cold, but because you're calculating. You let others go first. You let them reveal themselves. You let them tie the rope, not knowing you handed it to them. You don't talk about your past. You don't correct their wrong ideas about you, because the less they know, the less they can control. Meanwhile, you learn everything. You hear the insecurity behind their sarcasm, the weakness behind their pride, the real reason behind their kindness. And when they try to test you, you don't resist. You disappear. Some people shout to show their strength. You go quiet. That's when the real power shows. You don't need to scream or fight. You just step back. You let your silence speak. And that silence, it shakes people more than anger ever could. In your world, disrespect is not argued with. It's ignored. And most people don't get it. They expect drama. They expect shouting. But when you give them nothing, no reply, no reaction, they panic. They start to wonder. They realize they didn't win, they lost you. That's when emotional distance becomes your weapon. It makes you rare, it makes you powerful. People slowly start changing how they act around you, not because you told them to, but because they feel your boundaries. You're not trying to please anyone. You're not fixing broken people. You're just not available the way others are. And that mystery gives you silent control. Not through threats, not through love, but through a deep truth: you can't be controlled. People learn this the hard way. They find out that kindness doesn't mean access, that being loyal isn't enough if there's no respect, that being close to you is something that can be taken away at any moment. You don't yell, you just disappear. And for those who tried to use you, that silence is their punishment. You're not cold-hearted, you're just precise. That's what dark intelligence is. You don't bond with everyone, you choose carefully. And even when you connect, you never give your whole self. That's your strength. You see people clearly, but you don't let them fully see you. While others chase likes, love, and attention, you chase clarity. They say "I love you" because they're scared of being alone. You stay silent, and that silence exposes their neediness. When they demand answers, you remain still. That stillness hurts them, because it shows you've seen their truth and found it not worth responding to. You no longer explain your worth. You don't argue. You don't repeat yourself. When things feel fake, you quietly walk away, and your absence says everything. That's how you gain power, not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. You don't need people's love or approval. You don't even need them to understand you, because you've built something more powerful, a calm mind and a presence no one can manipulate. This is silent domination. You've changed. You're no longer emotional and reactive. You've become still, but not weak. Quiet, but not passive. That's what dark intelligence does. It turns you into a weapon that doesn't have to be used. You walk into a room, say nothing, and still, everyone looks. Not because you're loud, but because your presence feels different. You don't need to win arguments. You win results. You don't chase revenge. You erase people. You're not trying to be seen. You just make others feel you. That's real power. You attract without chasing. You influence without speaking. And when others fall apart, you watch silently. You've stopped playing their game. Now you make your own rules. This happens when your intelligence cools down. When emotions no longer rule you, they serve you. You see things clearly. You respond with strategy, not emotion. Machiavelli once said, "Men are moved by love or fear." But dark intelligence gives you a third option: quiet control. People don't need to love or fear you. They just need to know you are watching, silently, carefully, always. If you've come this far, know this isn't a mistake. You're not just watching. You're evolving. You're waking up. This isn't about what's out there. It's about what's waking up inside you. Your mind is sharper now. Your eyes see more. And this way of seeing, that's your first step to real power. Now, I invite you to a quiet act of strength. Comment this phrase: "I see the shadows and I fear not." This isn't for algorithms. It's for those who understand what most people can't. A quiet promise that you see the truth, even when it's not pretty. Here, we don't chase fake comfort. We chase real understanding, even if it's uncomfortable. Keep exploring with us. Open your mind. And remember, the biggest revolution doesn't happen in noise. It begins in silence, inside your own mind.